Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Mic check. All right. Hello, everybody. How are you guys? Glad to be back with you. It's been a long time. For those of you that are new, welcome to the CNY Family Channel. Those of you that are returning, thank you guys so much for coming back. I want to talk about Mica Miller and why this case is so important. All right. No, I want to read this to you first, and then I have a bunch of stuff to go over with you guys, okay? But I want to kind of read you this timeline first and give you a little background in case you don't know. In April, Mica Miller was found deceased in Lumber River Park in North Carolina. She was 30 years old. Her husband, John Paul Miller, is the pastor at the Solid Rock at Market Common Church in Myrtle Beach. He said his wife's death was a aside on May 6th. A medical examiner said Miller died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. But her family members have asked authorities to investigate her death as she had recently filed for divorce. Her friends do not think that she took her own life. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office in North Carolina said Sheriff Burris Wilkins met with the family today to discuss the medical examiner's findings. So the medical examiner came back and said that he is determined that it was self-inflicted. Now, here's a little bit of background from before and what led up to the death of Mica Miller. In October of 2023, she filed for divorce. On February 13th of 2024, the divorce case was dismissed. On February 22nd, John Paul Miller, filed for separation. Sometime in February, he removed her personal items from their home while she was admitted to, no, I don't want to say this wrong, but Wakama Center for Mental Health, according to a sworn affidavit from her sister filed on May 2nd, which we are going to go over. I have a bunch of stuff to go over. I just want to give you guys this information and go over the timeline and the background first. Her sister said Mica wasn't aware of her possessions being removed until she was released from the hospital. She said Mica had also expressed the abuse and violence against her by her husband to others, including family members and those of the church. Prior to her admission to the mental health facility, Mica was gathering and sorting the evidence that she had to bring to a lawyer for filing for divorce about his also known associates who were either paid off or blackmailed. While at the facility, those documents, emails, files, etc., were all removed from her phone, her laptop, her vehicle, and her purse, and none of them were ever recovered. On March 11th of 2024, Mica reported a man following her, harassing her, and deflating her tires. She actually named a suspect of who she thought it was, but the cops had no proof, no evidence, and not enough to make an arrest. In an affidavit by her brother, he said that Mica reported that her estranged husband was also stalking her. Mica made several police reports over the last few weeks of her tires being slashed and tracking devices found on her vehicle. In Mr. Miller's email forwarded to the brother, He apologized to Mica for the tires and causing damage to her vehicle. He also said that his sister told him on numerous occasions that she feared John Paul and wanted to, quote, escape him. March 12th, the February separation is dismissed. March 18th, Mica posts on Facebook telling people that she is alive and well. March 22nd, 2024. She posts a video on Facebook offering advice for those who may be in an abusive relationship, which again, we are going to go over all of this. I just want to get through this first. If you're just coming in, thank you guys. Please hit that like button. Where she says, quote, God hates divorce, but why? According to everyone I ask and the scriptures I have found, it's because it hurts people. But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that? Unquote. April 15th, she files for separation. On April 23rd of 2024, a hearing is set for the separation for June 5th. On April 25th, Mica served JP with divorce papers. 2 days later, on April 27th, Mica Miller is found deceased. On April 28th, he tells his congregation about her death at the end of service, but he asked them not to discuss it inside the church. Quote, I got a call late last night. My wife passed away. It was self-induced and it was up in North Carolina, unquote. He was laughing and cracking jokes during the entire service. On May 2nd, John Paul tells WPDE that his wife died by suicide and had struggled with her mental health. On May 5th, the Miller family and friends hold a rally outside of his church seeking justice for Mica. On May 5th, also, a notice goes out to the congregation that John Paul had been released from all duties at the church for a time of healing, counsel, and guidance. On May 6th, the ME, Dr. Richard Johnson, indicated that she had died by her own hand. Okay. Now let's go over some stuff, okay? Let's get into this. Thank you guys all for being here. Let me pull this up first. Now, this is Mica Miller speaking her truth on being abused just weeks before her death. Let me just share this with you guys.
So today my heart's a little heavy. I've had a lot.
Again, this was March 22nd.
A lot of women that have reached out to me about situations of abuse. And I just want to tell you what a lot of people have told me lately and reminded me, because I think I forgot. I knew, but I pushed it in the back of my head just because of my situation. But you are the bride of Christ. Before anybody else's bride, male or female, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Abuse is abuse. And you are the bride of Christ. And my Bible says that he took all the abuse you could think of for you so that you didn't have to live that life of slavery and bondage and pain. Jesus took it all for you. So you don't have to stay in a abusive relationship, whether that's sexual, whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs or alcohol abuse or physical abuse. Psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault, or you're a bad mom, or you're a bad wife, or you're a bad husband, or you're not giving it your all when you know you are. God hates divorce, but why? According to everybody I've asked and the scriptures that I've found, it's because it hurts people. But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that? So I want to remind you, like a bunch of people have been reminding me lately, that I'm God's bride first. And even an earthly spouse who's a good spouse, when they know that their bride is being hurt, just imagine what an earthly spouse does. What do you think your heavenly spouse does when you're the bride of Christ and he sees his bride going through abuse and hurt? What do you think he thinks about that? So, encouragement in all this is you are the bride of Christ first before anybody else's. And he's got you. And he sees you. And he loves you.
I mean, what a beautiful, beautiful soul to have been taken from this earth. That's, and she's absolutely right. Okay. Now let me take you over here. Sorry, give me just 1 second, you guys. Let me find it. Oh, yeah, I have a whole bunch of stuff to go over. Okay. Now, here is John Paul when he tells his congregation about his wife and what happened to her.
We're not going to do an altar call today. Instead, I'm going to have you stand up, and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can. So y'all can stand to your feet. Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next little bit, because I don't want to have. I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks. I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away, and it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina, and we're gonna have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. And so it's all I can. Yeah, I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And she wasn't. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come. But just keep our family in your prayers. And I'm going to let Pastor Randall, Bishop, he can pray. I'll give him a microphone. He'll pray out. And if you have anything you want to share as well, I appreciate it.
Come on, let's pray.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to say here is, and this is just my opinion, this is just from what I'm observing, that was a very narcissistic speech right there. He tells everybody that his wife, he got a call late last night that his wife died. And says, right immediately after, says it was self-inflicted. She had mental health issues. It was a battle we were fighting, And then it was so narcissistic. And then again, wants himself to be the victim at the end. Please pray for me. Please pray for me. Let me grieve. Let me get counsel, guidance. I'm going to play that again, because the way you need to really listen to the words that he used and the way that he said it, his tone, okay? Because that's what matters, intention. Now, let me play this again.
We're not going to.
Oh, and he says right off the bat, first thing, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to leave quietly. I do not want you to talk about it in this building. Like, who? Come on, who's going to say that? The whole thing is narcissistic, condescending. You decide for yourself. These are just my opinions.
I'm going to do an altar call today. Instead, I'm going to have you stand up and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can. So y'all can stand to your feet. Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next, little bit. 'Cause I don't want to have, I'm taking a little bit of a break and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks, I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And yeah, it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina. And we're gonna have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. And so it's all I can. Yeah, I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And she wasn't. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come. But just keep.
He couldn't muster up one positive thing to say about his wife. He couldn't say one positive thing. Let's just recap this section.
Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her. And so, and it was up in North Carolina. And we're gonna have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. And so it's all I can. Yeah, I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And she wasn't. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come.
Not bless her, not, I loved her, not I'm going to miss her, not, I'm just saying, you announced to your congregation that your wife died. And after going through the whole service and, making jokes and laughing and then announcing this at the very end, telling your congregation that your wife died, you're going to be taking a leave of absence. Y'all know she wasn't mentally right. She had problems. She died from a self-inflicted, it was self-inflicted. And there you go. But pray for me. Pray for me, please. All right. Yep. Okay. Moving on. Now let me read this to you. Jennifer Coffindaffer on X, okay? Mica Miller's husband was very friendly. Here are a few of his text messages to a woman he met when he was married to Mica. This whole case stinks. Okay. Let's look at some of his text messages. Now, this is John Paul Miller, okay? This is while he was married to his wife. What do you do? Well, I'm a senior pastor of Solid Rock at Market Common, and I'm a headmaster and founder of Faith First Academy. I'm going through a divorce due to my soon-to-be ex-wife is bipolar and schizophrenic and left town after she got out of the mental hospital for the 7th time. I'm also an owner of Crocodile Rocks at Broadway at the beach. And then he goes on to talk dirty. to this person. Okay. Asking her to send him bikini shots and actually trying to convince her to send him some sexy shots. Oh, that's something else. But yeah, those are his text messages. Yeah, very nice, right? Nice guy. Really loved his wife. We can tell. All right, now let me pull this up. We'll go over the affidavit that her sister filed. And then let me play this 911 call. Now, again, the Emmy has come out and declared that this was self-inflicted. Now, I'm not saying that it's not, obviously, but it sounds like her husband did everything except for pull the trigger. I mean, I don't think a lot of people realize, unless you've ever been in that situation, how almost impossible it is for DV victims to ever get help, because you have to have so much evidence and proof and this and that and cooperation and all of this to get anywhere. If you don't have, physical bruises all over you, you can't prove psychological abuse, right? You can't, there's no evidence of that these cops can see and say, okay, we need to go against this guy, or we need to go get this guy. I feel like this woman suffered a lot. Mentally, psychologically. And I mean, imagine what it would be like living in constant fear, looking over your shoulder. Every time you walk out the door, you got to be like hyper vigilant as to who's around you, what you're seeing. You're just constantly walking around, looking over your shoulder, like scared to death that somebody's going to come after you, or somebody's going to do something to you, somebody's going to hurt you. I mean, that will psychologically that will break you. And I don't think people realize that. All right, so let me play this call.
Robeson County 911. What's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
In National Park,
What's the phone number you're calling me from?
843-655-5242.
Where's the park located at?
In Fair Bluff.
Let's see.
I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find my phone is on. I just did my my location.
Okay, I'm showing, hold on one second. I don't think you are in Robeson County. Are you at the Lumber River State Park?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay. Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
That is heartbreaking. This woman felt like it was her only way out. She had filed for divorce before it was dismissed. She had filed for separation before it was dismissed. She was gathering all of this evidence, and then she was admitted into the mental health facility. She got out of there, and he filed for separation. Made her look crazy. And then finally, she was able to file again 2 days before she was found deceased. She felt she had no way out. She had made numerous calls to the police. She had filed numerous reports. There was a no contact order. She was being stalked. Her damage was happening to her vehicle. She was being tracked wherever she went. I mean, she felt like she had no way out. It did sound kind of off a little bit to me too, I'm not going to lie. But I don't know. I don't know. I have another, let me see if I can do this. Well, first, let's pull this up.
I also want to bring in two people who knew Mica and John Paul very well. Ken and Alicia Young were members of the Solid Rock Church, and they often socialized with Mica and with John Paul. Thank you to both of you for doing this. If I can, Ken, let me start with you. You were a worship leader at this church. You were there 2019 to 2020. You socialized with this couple, Mica and John Paul. You went to movies. Can you describe for me what their relationship was like?
First of all, thank you for having us on. But, it's kind of a loaded question. When we first met them, I saw what, on the surface, it seemed to be a happy relationship. There were just some things that I saw. So I got to know them more in ways that he would speak to her at times, and just was just kind of red flags. I can't say it was one particular incident. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it was just kind of a consistent way that he treated her. And honestly, in some ways, he kind of treated a lot of women that way from what I saw.
So I want to ask you something. I know that you have mentioned before that one of the things that you really disliked about this church and the leadership of this church in particular was that there was, quote, immorality, hypocrisy among the leadership. With that in mind, it's a little astounding to learn that he met her when she was 14 as a member of the youth group, like the youth program there, and he was married with, I think, 5 kids. So was there did he have an affair with Mica? And
Okay, that part I did not know. I did not know that he met her when she was 14 at the camp. I mean, yeah, at the church. Is that what they just said? That's crazy.
it's a little astounding to learn that he met her when she was 14 as a member of the youth group, like the youth program there, and he was married with, I think, 5 kids.
Wow. He was married with 5 kids when he met her and she was 14 years old. And this guy was still allowed to be a pastor. Okay. Wow, the world has gone crazy.
So was there did he have an affair with Mica and leave his wife and children to be with her? And if that's the case, how old was she when he did that?
So I remember a specific conversation that I'd had with him when that was brought up, and it was because I'd heard about that. Like there were rumors, going around that their relationship even started in infidelity and things like that, and in my conversation with him, he did basically confirm that he did not get into her age. What he said to me point blank was that she was in my youth group. We became friends. Over time, it became kind of something more, and that was probably the gist of it, as far as I can remember now. I mean, it's been years ago, but it was a little concerning, and there were other members of the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were other members.
That's very concerning, right?
Oh, very, yes. And there were other members of the church, though, that when I asked about it, that it was just kind of it's something that kind of just everybody knew and accepted. And
let me ask you this, because you might give it a pass once, and maybe not. I mean, I wouldn't, but okay, some people might. They might get over it. But as I understand it, he's married. He has children. He meets a 14-year-old, eventually gets married to that older 14-year-old in her early 20s.
Older 14-year-old.
I don't know, Alicia, if you can add to this, but he then allegedly begins another affair with a church member who has a husband who uses a wheelchair, who mysteriously ended up dead and drowned in a pool. Is that accurate?
Yes.
That's what we've been told by people who have reached out. We've spoken to former church members. We've spoken to current church members, and people, and also family. It's kind of common knowledge, and that's kind of why it's the head scratcher. And because it's like, if it's common knowledge, why hasn't something been said?
I mean, I'm sorry, but if it's common knowledge and all of the congregation knew what type of man this was and the things he had done, and even according to her own, to her sister's affidavit, people of the church, members of the church, knew what he was doing to her. Why would you continue to go to a church and support such a man? I mean, that's unbelievable to me. Like, why would you continue to go there? Why would you continue to give him your support? Why would you continue to sit there and listen to him give sermons, knowing that he has no right to be up there on that stage whatsoever? I mean, probably one of the biggest hypocrites out there. He's up there preaching to everybody else.
But basically what we've been told by people, Ashley, is that that he groomed her from a young age, and married her when he was
Sure.
able to, and but I will say that when I met them, on the surface, at least at that point in time, it seemed like a fairly healthy marriage. She didn't seem like
Can I ask?
at that point in
Yeah,
time
can I
she was
ask this, Alicia? I guess that the essential question here, Alicia, is: do you believe that it is at all possible that your friend Mica took her own life, or do you suspect that her pastor estranged husband is at fault here?
I absolutely do not believe that she took her own life, because she was energetic and her faith in God was unwavering. And she was always quick to encourage somebody else, including myself. We went to lunches together, we worked out together. Just the things that I do know about John Paul. I truly do not believe that she took her own life. I do not.
Thank you for watching.
Okay.
Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television.
That is absurd. Yeah, it never stood a chance. Okay, now moving on. We'll get to the affidavit, and let's get to this though. J.P. Miller gave his phone number to a waitress back in February. He gave her the whole story about his mentally ill wife that he was getting divorced from. This is extremely telling. I hope his current girlfriend knows what she is up against.
So there's something that's been on my mind and on my heart for a few days, but really it goes back a few months to February, when this guy came into the restaurant where I've been working and left his phone number on his receipt. To make a long story short, I looked him up, and he was the senior pastor of a local church, and I thought, let's see what he's about. So I texted him, and he pretty much immediately just started begging for nudes.
So it was her in the text messages that he was talking to that I showed you earlier.
He also said that he was going through a divorce because his soon-to-be ex-wife was bipolar and schizophrenic. I did a little more digging, found some unsavory information about this guy, and while the smart thing to do would probably be just stay away, there's nothing I hate more than somebody who uses God and a position of authority to abuse and mislead and manipulate people. So my thought was, can we expose this guy? But the more digging I did, I just found that his church apparently has a history of covering up his behavior, and anyone who speaks out gets stalked and harassed. There wasn't any contact info anywhere for his wife or anyone. So it just seemed like I couldn't do anything at that point. But I think I sensed that there was something more off with the situation. And I checked in on social media a few days ago and discovered that his wife has died. They're calling it suicide, but an investigation has been opened, and there's a lot of speculation that he was responsible. I don't know, but whether or not he pulled that trigger, he pushed her beyond her limit.
And I want to say that John Paul Miller and people like him are not the problem with modern day Christianity in America. They are a symptom. The bigger problem is those of you who are enabling and defending people like this and putting them in positions of authority in churches and our government. And now a stunningly beautiful woman is dead. Her name was Mica, and I've heard that she was a lovely person. And I just feel like now I have a responsibility.
I'm so sorry. I have been pronouncing her name wrong. I thought, okay, so it's Mica. Yep. Chat, everything's good. Missed you guys too. So glad to be back here with you guys.
To speak up, and I hope that we can prevent more abuse from taking place.
I mean, what a scumbag, right? Can we all just say that? Jeez. Okay. Whoops. Hold on one second. Okay. This update is disgusting, so take caution while reading. Even though it's terrible, it's a good thing, and we are moving in the right direction. As always, I will be protecting my sources. Mica kept a binder of proof of everything, and it's been handed over to authorities. Her affidavit will be going public this week or next. Everything she said, JP backed up in a bullshit apology to her, which there's documentation of. This includes him literally saying he wanted to hurt her. My source spoke to the legal team at the hospital she was taken to discuss who was to get her body. They were told, per the medical examiner, that this was a clear-cut suicide. However, nobody believes it based on everything they know, and especially after speaking to JP. JP called the Monday after Mica's death, repeatedly, frantically asking about closing out the divorce to get it finalized. They flat out said no, and that he should be more focused on planning a funeral and having an autopsy done. He tried to play it off like he didn't know what an autopsy was and didn't find it necessary at all. This source also knows the officer who served JP the papers 48 hours prior to Mica's death. They said JP was absolutely shocked and did not expect this at all. And they left it very basic of just separation and did not include anything about adultery, so he couldn't plan for it and would be shocked in court when it all came out. He also owns, oh my gosh, he also owns a blow-up doll that is of a 4-year-old. Mica was very open about her chemical imbalance that was not bipolar or schizophrenia and being off her meds for months. However, she seemed 100% well off and not in any sort of mental crisis from being off the medication. The power of attorney she signed was originally for her brother to have, but JP changed the papers after the fact, possibly forging her signature, but that is not confirmed. So JP did have power of attorney over Mica when she died. Please like and share as we wait for the affidavit and more information to be released. Now, here's some text messages that were posted. Hey, I need to talk to you about JP. What's up? I used to go to his church about 2 years ago. He publicly shamed me in a sermon and to his friends, and I was told on Facebook, but could never find it. Geez. Okay. Okay. I'm not even going to go there because I don't know who that is from or what, but anyway, there's all that. She had her work uniform on. Who kills themselves in their work uniform, right? Now, again, I'm just going based off of what the medical examiner has determined. But yeah, I mean, he could have easily had this done. Okay, now. No, here's just a minute of here's just a minute of one of his sermons, okay? Just to give you kind of a picture of what this guy's like. Let me turn that's loud. Okay.
That's not the right words. Like, be more mature than that. I think this verse is for the ladies. Because I've never had a man come to me and say, so-and-so hurt my feelings. I just need to tell you all about it. No man's ever done that. I mean, can I tell you everything you did? No man's ever done that. Men, we either just don't talk about it or we punch you in the face and then we're friends afterward. Last year, my wife, they went to Africa, had a wonderful trip, amazing trip. And she came back with the idea to start a school in Africa. And 6 weeks ago, she goes in the hospital, gets out, and just leaves. Just completely leaves. He leaves everything, drains the bank account, and goes. Guess what? While you're talking bad about me out there, I'm building a school in Africa for over 100 kids to be able to be fed. I'm just doing that. It's always about what I'm preaching about. God is so good to do that every single time. One day I'm going to preach about getting rich, strong, healthy, and finding a hot wife that loves Jesus. That's what I'm going to do. Weird. There's a really weird idea that a lot of women have. It's so weird that women have this. Christian women think, well, I need somebody to talk to about these people that hurt me. I need somebody to talk to. Oh, you just want to talk about somebody else. That's a demon actually right there. When my wife went in the hospital, I looked at her phone and I counted over the past 2 years, 18 people who had texted her and said, if you ever want to talk about your husband, you can talk to me and say anything and I'll keep it confidential. If you could go back in time, you would have said this. Or if I see them again, I'm going to say that. And it starts festering. It gets bigger and bigger. By the time you're done, you want to shoot them with a bazooka, right? And all they said was, did you intentionally wear those shoes with that dress? Oh, get rid of it!
Yeah. Don't tell me that he is innocent in all this. Do not tell me that. Okay. Oh, wow, Namaste. Okay, now let me... Sorry, give me 1 second. I want to... Okay, let's pull up this. Okay. If I wind up dead with a bullet in my head, it was not by me. It was JP. Court affidavit from Mica Miller's sister making some serious allegations. Her name is Sierra Francis. I am the petitioner in the proceedings which are pending before the probate court as to the appointment of a special administrator for my sister's estate. I am Micah's younger sister, having been raised by our parents, Michael and Angelita, with our siblings Nathan, Destiny, Anna, and Abby. We ultimately settled in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina in 2007 with our mom and stepdad. I was aware of Micah's family dynamics and relationship with her husband, respondent John Paul Miller, and stepchildren, Selah, Asher, Logan, Eli, and Zach. Micah and I spoke every few days, texting daily, so much as to even create playlists together. Micah would drive to visit me and my family in Gaffney, South Carolina, at least once a month. I know my sister to have expressed the abuse and violence against her by her husband to others, including family members and members of the church congregation. Micah told me that there were people following her, keeping track of where she went. She thought that Mr. Miller hired people to follow her. Mr. Miller later confirmed this during a sermon that I watched. He was tracking her every move, having hired people to follow her. Micah confided in me that Mr. Miller was moving assets that were in his name such as his vehicle, changing the deed to their house to the church, transferring interest in Crocodile Rocks to one of his sons. In February of 2024, Mr. Miller removed my sister's personal items from the home they shared while she was admitted to the mental health facility and left them at the apartment of this woman, Diana. My sister was not aware that her personal possessions had been removed from the residence until she was released from the hospital. Prior to her admission, Mica was gathering and sorting the evidence that she had to bring to an attorney for filing for divorce to support her claims against Mr. Miller, and as to his abuse, character, and associates he paid off or blackmailed. While at the facility, those documents, emails, files, etc. were removed from her phone, personal laptop, vehicle, and purse and never recovered. Further, Mica was unable to access her iCloud account, email, or Facebook profile. Mr. Miller continued using at least one of Mica's accounts, causing any recipient to believe it was Mica's communication. Mica talked about what she wanted her life to be like following her divorce from Mr. Miller. Having traveled for a church mission this past fall from October 15th through October 27th, 2023, Mica was intending to participate in additional missions, even to live part-time in Kenya. Mica recently shipped some of her personal items to Kenya in preparation of her stay there. Not only did she file for divorce from him, which means she would get some, half of everything, but she was moving to Kenya. My sister was hopeful for her future after filing for divorce from John Paul. My sister also expressed to me that she was fearful that she would not make it to the divorce and that her life would be taken from her. It is my belief, based on conversations with my sister, that she told multiple people, including other family members. Mica stated to me on many occasions, if I end up with a bullet in my head, it was not by me. It was JP, unquote. Mica forwarded a family group text message notifying us that Mr. Miller was served the divorce papers on April 25th, 2024. On April 27th, 2024, my sister, Mica A. Miller, was found dead as a result of a gunshot wound in Lumberton, North Carolina. I have the full support of my family in my request to be appointed as special administrator. I take this request and my potential appointment in this role very seriously. Anything further? Okay, that's it. Her family does not believe she did this to herself. There are clear signs that he was an abusive, narcissistic, I'm going to even go as far as to say sociopath, because he was up there leading a congregation of people who knew what he did and just didn't care. Still continued to let him do his thing. Still continued to go to him and support his church. They are no better. Yeah, he was grooming her from the time she was 14 when he was married with 5 children. I mean, he was asking waitresses while he was married for nude shots. I mean, he was a total sick freak. That's it. Bottom line. He was having her followed. He was tracking her. People were stalking her. And she was scared. And she tried to get help from the police. But because she didn't have enough physical evidence, they did nothing to help her. And unfortunately, that's the problem with domestic violence, is it usually goes against the victim. There isn't enough support for these victims. Her depression, yeah. Yep, I'm about to go over that too. Okay, let me pull this up with you guys. Pastor John Paul Miller's past. These are things he has on his record. 1, knowingly damaged property 2 times. Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Possession of a liquor by a minor 2 times. Possession of a consumed liquor by a minor. Possession of cannabis. Contribution to the delinquency of a child. Domestic battery, bodily harm. Domestic battery, physical contact. Assault and battery of a high and aggravated nature 2 times. Being on premises after warning or refusal to leave. That's the man that is asking the church to pray for him. That's the man that did horrible things to his young, beautiful wife. And tried to convince everyone else that she was crazy. Because that's what narcissists do. Sorry, I want to grab this right here real quick. What is wrong with John Miller, who now takes away flowers left at the church sign where folks are leaving them in memory of his wife and throwing them in the trash?
There was flowers, folks, sent for Mica at the church, the Solid Rock Church, a lot clearer. And at the church, someone told me he took the flowers that were placed outside the church at the sign and threw them away. A witness observed Pastor John Paul, who sent me a text and said he took the flowers today. He was out there and he threw them in the garbage. Well, there was more.
Threw them in the garbage. Is this the same call? Hold on 1 second. I just want to see if it ended in the same place. Oh, okay. Yep, that's it. Okay. Let me get out of here. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Yeah, it's totally sad and messed up what happened to her. And I mean, I don't know. I could see how being stuck in this situation for so long could, I should say, break a person. But she had a whole new life planned. She had a whole life planned after him. She knew what she was going to do. She was going to go to Kenya. She was going to do help out there, do missions out there. She had already sent some of her stuff there. And then to just go out there and end it all when she was so close to the end? Or did somebody get to her? Did something happen? Did he have this done? We don't know. We can only go off of what we know right now at this time, and we can only go off of the facts that we have at hand. And that is, she's gone. He was a terrible person, a creep, a manipulator, a liar, a narcissist, a piece of garbage, basically. And the people who continued to support him and go to his church and support what he was doing are no better. That's right. God knows exactly what happened. All right, let me know what you guys think, please. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. Please hit that thumbs up. Please sub to the channel. Everything else, all the links are down in the description below. Follow us. It's all there. I love you guys. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep asking those hard questions. Keep spreading that light. I will see you all next time. Justice for Mica Miller.